Hey guys, this is just a quick little pre-intro to the video. You're going to see the real intro next. The reason I'm doing this is because the last video, the Peugeot video, was actually recorded after the next section you're going to see. The reason this project has just taken me quite a while, and I'll introduce everything in the next little segment, because I've been waiting on a lot of parts, but I finally have all the parts, so I'm going to finish this video up. And it might seem confusing when I talk at the beginning if you watched the previous video because they were out of sync time-wise. So, I'm going to let you get to it. What's up guys? Welcome to the Zeros channel. We are going to be switching up how we're doing our videos. I think I talked about it a little bit if you watched my Peugeot video, or one of my Peugeot videos. There's the one where I put a liquid cooled head on an air-cooled cylinder. We're doing shorter, little bite-sized things instead of the long, like 2-hour videos. Some people like that. Some other people comment that they would like a little bit more frequent content, smaller bits. Just kind of how the rest of YouTube operates. But, you know, we're just doing our own thing. But it takes me a lot of work to edit those videos when they're long. It can take me a week or two. Collecting all that footage gets out of date. A lot of it winds up just being me, which is probably going to be the future anyways. I mean, there's still tons of Zeros around. We actually just added 2 more members. But I tend to get the camera out, and I don't say this to be cocky, but I've been around for like 10 years. Guys like Jared and Jared has most of my knowledge. Matt was getting there, but he's moved to Arizona. I'm sure he's going to be picking up on some videos once he gets some bikes out there. I'm sure he'll probably maybe be doing a little like satellite content for us as he started to meet some of the local clubs. He's looking forward to breathing some life into those guys. So we'll probably get some stuff from Matt, maybe some stuff from Jared every now and again. But again, this isn't like a cocky thing. It's just like I've been doing this for 10 years. I'm pretty decent at this. I really enjoy teaching a lot of the guys. So as we get new members and our club grows, I wind up teaching a lot. It's not really the best time to have the camera out because I'm teaching them instead of just being able to talk to you about something I'm doing. So probably still going to be seeing a lot of me, but who knows, it might be a little interspersed. So beyond all that, today we have a Sachs Tacci. This was a wonderful Southern Ohio store. Mike Vining saved it from someone's garage. It was all spray painted black. I was able to restore most of it. I'm sure someone could do a better job than me, but this is what I did. I used some acetone and paint stripper and was able to save most of it. I didn't see some of the details I couldn't really get, but I was starting to go off the original paint, so I kind of stopped. The bike was a pretty typical Southern Ohio, you know, score. It says 909 miles on it, but judging by the rear coaster brake that is so glassed over it doesn't work, this thing saw some miles and it saw some skid stops. Hence why it probably has these interesting tires on it, which I'm not going to change because fuck it. I'm rebuilding this bike for our shitty moped race. The shitty moped race is kind of based on the Koufax Killer. If you're not familiar with the Koufax Killer, it's a race they do in Colorado. Black kind of took it over last year. It's pretty cool. So we're going to be following their kind of basic rules. You have to use a stock bike, and that means stock cylinder, not like a 50 kit. You know, no, that's still a kit. So at that point, you get one performance part. So you could choose to put a performance carb on, or a pipe, but not both. We did make some small, you know, whatever, exceptions to that rule. Like Travis is riding a Honda Express. The jets for Honda Express carbs are $10 a piece. And I've jetted stock Hobbit carbs, but the stock Express carb is different. So for him, we allowed him to put a 14-12 on it, not a 15-15 shot. So, you know, little things like that. But hey, this is a Sachs. This is a Euro model. It's got the DS cylinder on it. For those unfamiliar with Sachs, the American D motors are 2.7 horsepower stock, which is bigger than I think any moped imported. You know, normal mopeds imported. I'm sure someone's going to comment, "Oh, there's a Derby." Yeah, like okay, but 2 horsepower Plugs, 2 horsepower Tomoses. I don't know, Moped McCain's, Peugeots. Their cylinders are 2 horsepower. The D is 2.7. This is a little bit bigger. It's like 3.2 horsepower or so. So, and it's late model, you know, so it has some interesting features. Instead of the clamp-on exhaust, it has a bolt-on, which is Peugeot size. It has, I don't know if you can see this, I'll show it to you later. It has a boner, which is what J-Bot refers to it as. He's modified that onto some other pipes. It has stock. It's a very interesting little pipe. But like I said, it's seen some shit. You know, this thing got ridden. When I got it, I just hardwired it quickly because it had no spark. And you know, Mike said he started with a drill, which is no bueno. So I threw a clutch cable in and started the bike up. And the time I started the bike, Jared was actually out in the hallway there, and he could hear the bearing noise on this motor over the sound of the exhaust. So that gives you an idea of exactly how thrashed this motor is. So I'm going to rebuild it today. Treats has some rebuild kits. They have some sweet cranks. And this is the same crank as a D motor. So I thought about throwing the 505 top crank in there, but I decided because this is a shitty moped race. So I'm going to put new bearings and seals on the stock crank today. I'm going to put a new piston in it. It's not a performance piston, it's just a new one. I looked through the exhaust port earlier, and this is a single ring piston. It looks exactly like the D piston. So that's just what I ordered. We're going to find out if that works or not. So yeah, that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to drop this motor. I believe I have all the tools I need out of here. It's pretty simple. I'm going to open the clutch up, take the clutch cable out. I'm going to leave the clutch assembled so that when I split the cases and see the crank, I can make sure I keep all the shimming proper. There's been some discussion on motors of Sachs mopeds about the different clutches, typically the Ds, and Will Doles further this idea. It's usually the later model Ds, but Ds in general have the 7-piece clutch, which is 3 clutch pieces and 4 of these little wavy washers. The A and B motors typically come with 5, 2 clutch pads, and 3 little wavy washers. You can fit 7 pieces in there, but you need to modify the bell and change the shimming. This being 7-piece stock, I'm just gonna take it apart. I might clean up the clutch pads a little bit, put it right back together. I'm not gonna fuck with anything in there. I'm just gonna keep it because it's the best that came. You know, people talk about these clutches a lot. They can be modified. There's things you can do. I've modified them in some ways. I have a D motor with the aerosol kit on it that I very much enjoy. It's quite fast, but I saved the clutch through gearing. And then I've got a 504, which everybody hates in the 504, but it's the only way to run the 80cc kits, which are shitty kits anyways, but make a fuckload of power. Too much compression with the D. Gotta use a shorter crank. So I worked a 7-piece clutch into the 504. Done it, you know. I used to be a Sachs guy. They were my first bikes, so I learned a lot about them. So this is kind of coming home. And that's why I decided, because it's for the shitty moped race, because what better to beat a Thomas with a stock Thomas with a pipe on than to go to old Sachs in the race, the shitty moped race. The shitty moped race is a race from Detroit Moped Works, obviously Detroit, here, the shop in Toledo, Ohio. So it's going to be a fun little race. It was actually the first leg of the Baker's Dozen last year. I think I did it in like, I want to say an hour and 5 minutes on a pretty fast bike. It was my first day of the race, so I was pretty mellow. I don't expect full times like that during this race. You know, in that race we were pretty lax with traffic laws, and if you're familiar with the area, you can get between Toledo and Detroit on back roads, but you've got to be pretty ballsy with it. Some of the roads are quite fast, so you know, 55s with semi-trucks on it. I don't know if it'll be worth risking it on a stock-ish bike, but we'll see who shows up and how badly I want to win. I think we're going to get Sachs. So that'll probably be in another video because that's not happening until May 31st. That sounds right. We're making Jared's wedding, I think. So we'll get to it. So yeah, I'm gonna start breaking this thing down. Like I said, take the clutch cable out, take the pipe off, take the chain off. It's just hardwired. I only hooked up the ground and the ignition, so I'll unwire it. I'm just gonna take the carb off. I'll give it a good cleaning. Split the cases, toss Some new bearings and seals in there, fresh piston, and oh, I did buy another little front part for it. This is going to be my performance part, just an expansion chamber. Just going to bolt this onto the stock header. It's the 32mm iteration. The 20mm is too small for the Sachs stock headers, which are quite large. Yeah, I mean, if you guys know Sachs, like there's some other options. There's G&L pipes floating around. MLM makes a variation. But again, this is late model, so those pipes are all designed for the clamp-on exhaust style, or this has the Peugeot style. So I'm just going to cut that stock pipe up, weld this onto it, and start it up. See what it does. My first bike was a stock Sachs that I worked almost maybe a poop bullet pipe onto. I think we'll do 35-38, and it was definitely not rebuilt. But that was 10 years ago. That was a model from 1986, so it was a little bit fresher, you might say, than this. But when this is all said and done, it's going to have new bearings and seals. I'm just guessing the crank is okay. Pretty hard to destroy in stock, but you never know. So, let's get into it. I will probably not record myself dropping the motor because that's not too exciting. 3 bolts, take a little stuff off. We'll see what I do. You'll find out as the video continues, and I will find out when I edit it later.
Everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones.
See if this music gets randomly loud. Motor's dropped. I'll switch over to the engine building table. I'm gonna get this thing taken apart. Sachs, here we go. All right, motor's on the table. Let's see here. 505 DS. There we go, 49 cc's. So, I did wind up filming a time lapse, so you kind of watched. I didn't take the full clutch out. See, the entire setup is in there. I'm going to split the cases, then take it off, so I can take it off in perfect order. I think it'll just be a little easier. But step one, I'm going to clean these cases because they're gross. And I'm going to guess someone attempted to rebuild it because it looks like a poop seal is just shoved in here as best it can. So Mike probably did that just to get it running. Probably a good call because I'm sure the other one was probably just hanging out. So, let's see. Standard 11.2. The Tacci, unlike all the other Taxis, has 16-inch wheels. The others are all 17, so I was wondering if the gearing would be different. Looks like the rear sprocket's a little smaller. They're typically at 45 or 44 on the 17-inch rims, but I'm gonna leave gearing alone because fuck it. Time for some new greaser. gonna get the sprocket off. Pretty sure I can see pieces of the gasket behind it. Probably not stopping a lot of air from getting out there. Man, I remember doing all this by hand 7 to 8 years ago when I rebuilt my first Sachs. Fuck that. God, I love it. Alright, still cleaning this thing up. Check back in when I get this top end off. Alrighty, we're cleaned up enough. A couple things on the Sachs. This is one of my favorite things. All Allens. No fucking flathead. Cylinder's a little annoying. They're just these little studs with 10s. Well, M6s, you need 10. Take it off, not too bad. But I figured you'd like to see me crack this top end because looking in that piston in the exhaust port, it's got some flavor. That and there's like these random dabs of gasket maker around the case, like in the corners. I don't know what the deal with that is. So, see, I mean, maybe someone took the cylinder off at one point. Who knows? The life of a cylinder that has lived 30, 40 years in the wild motor. Never know what the fuck somebody did to it. Notice not only stressing out about these bolts, they're just M6 nuts. Get some fresh locking ones on when I put it back together anyways. Alright, here we go. Look at that, why? Why Southern Ohio, why? These being bigger, to be perfectly honest. But you can see that exhaust port. Of course, that. It's kind of small. Smaller than I remember. It's been a long time since I've had a D apart. The intake is big. The exhaust port is not that impressive. Good. All the play, no big deal. Bought a full gasket set, but it never hurts to keep your stocker at the tempo. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a D bottom end. Honestly, those ports seem small to me, but I understand a DS cylinder. It's supposed to be bigger, so I'm just going to trust it. If you get a 504 or the 505s with a A or B crank, instead of these four being symmetrical, one would be offset, and that was a little trick so that you couldn't put a larger cylinder. Wow, those rings are really there. So this is definitely a 505. What these fucking cases, huh? Get this crank rebuilt. The new piston I got. Oh man, this thing has seen some fucking time. Look at that. Yeah, it's got a lot of blow by. The new piston I bought is a Meteor piston. They said it's a little bit long. We need to trim it down to match the D piston. So I'll be doing that at some point in this video. But for now, I'm just gonna take this piston off. Get these cases split, see what I am working with in here. I mean, it seems fine. If I were putting a real kit on this, I'd probably replace this crank, to be totally honest with you. There is a millimeter or two of play, but whatever. Let's get a stock top end. It's a Sachs. Oh, what is that? Something got in this crank. Not a living thing. There's damage on the crank on one of the lobes. I'm going to turn the light on so you get a better view here. One second. Probably should have had that on the whole time, but it is kind of blinding. So if you look beneath the crank there's a pretty good divot right there. Wonder what could have caused that. Whatever, the world may never know. I'm going to go grab an Allen wrench. I think you can see how greasy my hair is. I'll grab a T-handle and get this crank, get this motor split, I guess, huh? So, be right back for that. Also, unlike an E50, fucking 10 million of these things holding cases. I guarantee you, I will miss one. Let's see what gives out first. The bolt or this Harbor Freight T-handle. Oh no, there's some long boys. The old trusty heat gun. Put a little heat on these cases, see if they want to peel apart a little easier instead of fighting them apart. So I'm pretty sure I got everything. But you know, 40 years of staying together, they're not just going to come right apart. So. Pretty simple. The case is still full. But this is the reason that I kept the clutch together. As you can see, this has the 3 pads. There's the donut in there. I'll give you a better view of this once I take it all apart. But I wanted to make sure, oh yeah, you can hear those fucking bearings just singing. Yeah, just want to make sure I kept everything in order. So, not a full circle crank, not a rust-free crank either, but pretty good. Better than most. I would compare it to a stock Peugeot crank. There are better aftermarket options, but these are very impressive. So, let's go get our gasket set and see what we got. Alright, sorry I got the music going, I just want to get this done without losing track of myself. We'll try and talk about this. Taking the clutch apart, 17 socket, regular thread. This is reverse thread, lots of problems with installed Sachs. But the reason I waited to do it until now, so you can see the order everything goes in. These clutch pads can definitely be cleaned up. They're fine. I'm not replacing them. We're gonna throw a washer in there, zip tie through this, and that's it. All right, guys. So motor's built. Got the new piston here. Shaved it down so it's the same size as the old piston. So now, as you can see, let's see if you can see. Yeah, you can kind of see the restrictions in that exhaust. So I'm gonna take a Dremel to that real quick and see what I can do. So back, sorry about the little delay there. There we go. All cleaned up, poured it out, looks good now. I think it's time to just put this motor back together. Slap a few gaskets on here and should have this fired up pretty soon. Made a mark where the points were stock. I might play the timing a bit. It's tough doing timing with angled spark plug. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Got the gasket iron oiled up. Slap this fresh piston in here. Needle bearing on. Fresh bearings. As you can see behind me, we just got a new shop TV and they're fucking with that, so what's going on behind me there. There we go. There we go. It's ready to be put back on the bike. Cross your fingers. I'm gonna go put the ignition on, set the timing, reassemble the clutch. I'm gonna cut the pipe up and weld that expansion chamber I showed you guys earlier. See what it looks like. Okay, we're back at the bike. The motor's ready to go. I'm gonna mount this guy up. I'm doing a time lapse for that, so we'll see you in the next edit. But looking forward, got the stock pipe off. Here's the boner I was referring to earlier. I'm going to cut the pipe here, shorten it so it's not sticking in the chamber, and weld this. We're going to get this motor mounted, and I'm going to put the addition back on, put the clutch back together, get that going, and then do the pipe. Like we're really, really close. Being that these are points, we're slapping it back on. Typically for Sachs, you don't need to upjet for a pipe, so we'll see how that goes. I do have some square Bing jets for that. That is a D carb, it's the needleless 12mm stock carb. So we'll see how this goes.
Together, stones together, to everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, 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 and a time to every purpose under heaven. A time of love, a time of hate, a time of war, a time of peace, a time you may embrace, a time to refrain.
The motor's rebuilt, as you saw from on the video earlier, really rebuilt. The only difference is in the video that you guys watched, I didn't do anything different. I wound up replacing the crank with a full circle crank, because if you were paying attention earlier in the video, there's a point where I said, oh hey, there's a little damage to the low. I didn't think it was a big deal. Turns out it was a big deal. A little piece of metal had broken off the low, who knows how, and it wedged itself underneath the output shaft, so there's a little resistance there. So I just rebuilt the motor one more time, but obviously I walked through the same steps, so I wasn't going to make you watch it again. It's just got a top one crank in it now, instead of the stock crank. And then I replaced the point ignition with a Tomos CDI. I don't have it timed yet. I have a piston micrometer here, which you see me use in other videos, but this is an angled spark plug, so I can't use the piston micrometer because it doesn't go straight. So I'm going to have to hit this with a timing light at some point. Right now, woodruff key and flywheel just on, stator plates right in the middle. So let's start this thing up. Pretty easily. It doesn't seem like it's revving out too high. I am wondering about this pipe, as I am running that weird little boner thing on here that I showed you earlier in the video as well. But from here, the bike now runs, but it has no brakes hooked up or anything. So I'm going to go ahead and take the back wheel apart real quick and make sure it has brakes, and then I'm going to go take it out for a speed run. I'm hoping for 35-40. We'll see. Okay, guys. So this bike is not done, but it's done. It's going to get for this video. So, a couple things. Obviously, rebuilt the motor with the Tomos CDI. I swapped out the pipes. As I pointed out earlier in the video, I was wondering how the boner would react to having an expansion chamber, and the answer is not good. I really couldn't hit the pipe with this particular python, so I took it off. I'm using just a Peugeot Simonini circuit pipe. This particular cylinder has a bolt-on style exhaust, so Peugeot exhaust bolt right up to it. That actually is another trick though for D motors and A and B motors. You can some Peugeot pipes spigot mount to it. It depends on what size their stock head is, but a lot of them do. This pipe in particular works on the D motor or whatever. But anyways, so put a different pipe on. I'm now hitting the power band. The thing is, this bike is only doing about 30 miles an hour. And I'm sitting here thinking, man, that's kind of slow. This thing should do 30 stock, right? Thinking it's a DS cylinder. Well, thanks to Chad Burke, we've been talking and I've been doing a little research. And this bike came from Southern Ohio, which means Ohio, if you're unfamiliar with us here, technically mopeds are only allowed to do 20 miles an hour. So, this does not have a DS cylinder on it. It has a MOFA cylinder on it. The MOFA cylinders look like the DS cylinder, but they have very aggressive porting, but they have the same 4-bolt style base, unlike the the A and B cylinders that have one offset stud. These still use the same squared off standard 4 stud pattern as the D. They also require the 44 millimeter stroke, unlike the A motors and B motors, which run the 42 millimeter shorter A crank stroke. So this doing 30 miles an hour is actually really good because it got it up from 20 miles an hour. So for now, this is where this bike is at. I still have to run the lights and whatnot, but that has to wait for a few more parts because I need a voltage regulator now that I'm running a 12-volt CDI. I don't have one laying around right now. But I'll start the bike, let you hear how it sounds. I'm not happy that I have to wait for more parts, but it's not the end of the world. So, as you can see, runs really well, quarter kicks, just very impressive for a Sachs. So yeah, this is where it's at. We took a 20 mile an hour cylinder, threw about $400 at it, and made it do 30. Congratulations, it's as fast as a stock moped. Now I just need to figure out what cylinder I want to put on it. I do want to keep this one stock, maybe I'll do a little update later. I have a Suburban with a D motor and a aerosol, and then I have a 504 rebuilt with the 80cc reed kit, and I absolutely loathe the 70cc Athena kit. So I want to keep this one 50cc's. So kind of my only option is to find a D cylinder. Treats has NOS versions of it, but it's just a cylinder, no piston. Find it on the internet, or use the Athena 50K, which is a really good kit, but it's $220. So I gotta decide what to do, but until then, that's all for this little segment of the video, this video, not the segment anymore. That's it for this Sachs build. Showed you how to completely rebuild a motor, what pipe fit, all that fun stuff. Fun fact, if you're running a D cylinder, you're gonna have the needleless 12 Bing, which you don't need to rejet for pipes, so it's kind of fucking perfect. You just actually take the airbox out, you're good to go. So that's where I'm at. It's a slow-mo.